Greetings, happy Friday to you, and welcome to our bonus section for our 4 days of absolute certainty challenge. I am sharing this because I got some responses back that people were interested in learning a little bit more about what it looks like to work with me to build your certainty from a very, very three-dimensional, 360-degree perspective and approach. So what we covered today, this week, was one key tool that's really important, but it's actually a small piece of a much larger fabric. And I just wanted to take a few minutes to share that fabric with you. So I first want to say to you, if you're watching this, congratulations on making a smart decision for yourself today, because when you're taking the time to invest in yourself and your own personal development, you're going to consistently see a return on that investment. Even if you didn't pay a penny for it, you're going to see a return on that investment in terms of effectiveness, in terms of confidence, in terms of being able to make a greater impact. So even if you don't go any further than to watch this training or presentation, you're going to get a lot from it, but hopefully you go further with it. Okay, so I just want to really quickly lay out who this is for. This is for you if you are purpose-driven, if you know that you want to do more than just make money, you want your purpose, your mission, the people that you serve to be just as important as profits. And also, if you're just really looking to boost your certainty in specific areas of your leadership. And one thing I want to say is that you really can't find any successful Maverick or purpose-driven leader on this planet who's not doing what I'm about to show you. Okay, so these things, now they might call it something different. They may not consciously be aware that they're doing it, but the tools and the ideas and the concepts that I'm going to share with you today, every successful disruptor is doing it. Okay, so what I'm sharing with you will work now. So even if you're thinking about somebody like Elon Musk or Oprah or Steve Jobs, all of these people in their own way, they absolutely were doing the things that I'm going to lay out for you today. So does this sound familiar? One thing I found is that a lot of Mavericks and purpose-driven leaders really have huge hearts. They really care about people. They care about being of service. And when they seek to improve their leadership skills, so that they can be of even greater service, they tend to run into certain roadblocks. And one of them is self-doubt. It's a huge one because they're already going against the grain. They don't have a ton of supporters. And then on top of that, their mission-based work is, it's demanding, and they're trying to create something that maybe they haven't seen before, or maybe that's just very rare and not common. So let me know in the comments if this is something that's been a challenge for you. Often we can feel like an island, like we're on our own, like there's no one else who really understands our current struggles, maybe not even our spouse or our friends. And so it can feel really challenging to be able to constantly push ourselves when we feel like there's no one supporting us. So that's one challenge. Another challenge can be sometimes they invest in, high-end masterminds or going to like really fun live events and parties and, spending a lot of energy, time, and money in connecting with others, trying to find their tribe. And yet something's still missing. Maybe it's the teacher, the leader of the tribe, or the tribe itself. They still don't feel like they can truly, fully self-express. There's still some part of them that feels reserved, or that the connection is just isn't as deep as they want it to be. So then this leads them to ultimately to overwhelm and burnout, because now they're trying to do things on their own. They haven't found their tribe. They don't have a really great support system. They're trying to do things that are outside of the box. And no one's there to really actually help. So if this has ever happened to you, would love to see that in the comments. I know that this has been the case for me for much of my career, so to speak. And unfortunately, unresolved, this lack of real, true certainty in yourself and your sense of feelings of isolation can ultimately lead to a lot of unhealthy habits like addictions, workaholism, or unhealthy or shallow personal relationships. And most important, that nagging feeling that you know there's so much more inside of you that needs to come out, but isn't coming out because you know there's just so much more there. So let's just take a really quick look at the big picture. If you struggled with these challenges, the good news is that there is a clear path to get from uncertain to absolutely certain as a Maverick leader, as a purpose-driven leader, as a disruptor, and to do it in your own way. If Mother Teresa and Oprah and a lot of other people, even Steve Jobs, a lot of our disruptors lived pretty isolated lives. If they're able to do it and make the difference in the world that they're making, then you can too. And I'm going to show you exactly how this works. So this is the certain Maverick leader's path. And I used to say 90 days, but now I've shifted it to 6 months because I've understood that there are so many layers and levels to uncover when we're going through this process. And when I've worked with people on it, we have found that 90 days was just not enough to really get into the meat and the potatoes of where they were feeling stuck, and also giving them really, really practical tools in which to be able to get unstuck, not only with me, but also on their own, and to come up with new innovative ideas. So the first step of our 3-step process is, the first phase of our 3-phase process is inspire. And when you inspire yourself, you then have the ability to show up at a different level. So here I'm just going to lay it out. The next is innovate, to innovate your mindset, which is really getting yourself unstuck and getting yourself out of the expectations of others and into a place where you feel free. And ultimately, the third part is impact, where you are able to impact others in a really powerful way. And so hopefully this is why you're here, this is why you're listening, and this is absolutely a doable process. And you'll see this, like if you look at people's, I want you from now on, when you're watching a documentary of a Maverick or a disruptor, a powerful leader, I want you to look for these phases in their stories, because you will see them. It's really, really quite remarkable how you can see when they really started to take ownership of their leadership, how they started to inspire themselves before inspiring others, innovating with their mindset, and then impacting others. It's really cool. So we start at point A, uncertain, and we move through to knowing your destination, which is your vision for where you want to be, meeting your own needs, which is really about understanding what you need and not waiting for someone else to provide it for you. This is really key in any kind of relationship. If you don't know how to meet your own needs, you're going to really struggle in being able to enjoy healthy and happy relationships with anyone, because there's no one who can meet your needs all the time. And most of the time, people will fall very far short of what you could do for yourself. The next step is to respect your core values. And these are things about you that you stand for, that you've always stood for in your entire life. And no matter what anybody says, you're going to need to be able to trust that those core values are not to be violated, because whenever we try, we end up in what we call self-sabotage, but truthfully, it's just us ignoring what we truly believe in, and we don't want to do that. So respecting your core values is a really, really critical one. It's what helps us to get rid of imposter syndrome. It's what helps us to get rid of a lot of uncertainty about our path. Okay, so certainty about our path is built when we understand our core values and that this has always been our path. And understanding this is really key. So that's the first phase. Then the next phase in Innovate starts with adjusting your rules. So understanding your rules are there to help you make life simpler and easier to navigate, but they can often lead you astray and get you into situations where you feel stuck. So you want to always be able to adjust them. And then to practice certainty beyond logic is what we've really been covering. We dove deep this week into one of the tools, the trust list, which is part of this step, in being able to get to certainty from our beliefs and really start to learn how to manipulate and adjust our beliefs, or better yet, even focus on the beliefs that we want, we know we need in order to create what we want, as well as understanding how to deconstruct the beliefs that don't help us to get what we want. So that's that step. Sorry, I'm going backwards. The next step is to assign the best meanings. And so that's when you understand that what you've been attributing to a certain situation may not necessarily be what it is or what it could be in your mind, right? So meanings are so critical. They're so important they really determine our quality of life. And when we're not good at assigning empowering meanings to things, that's when we end up in situations where we feel overly restricted, hopeless, helpless, powerless to do things about things. So we want to really get good at adjusting meanings or assigning better meanings. All right, so that's phase 2, innovate your mindset. Now, with phase 3, in impacting your world, we talked about tapping into your intuition and really starting to connect with, actually we didn't talk about it, but this is something that we go into, is really understanding how to connect with your intuition at will, instead of just like sometimes you're in the flow and sometimes you're not and you don't know how to get back in the flow. You want to be able to get back when you need to. And that's something that we cover in tapping into your intuition, which is incredibly important. Part of that we did talk about it because we talked about tapping into the wisdom in your body. That's part of tapping into your intuition in making decisions and in having clarity as to what you need to know and what you don't need to know, so that you don't overwhelm yourself and get overwhelmed from too much information. Another area is releasing boundaries. And this is one that's often quite controversial because most of us have been taught in personal development to set healthy boundaries. That's the way to have a healthy relationship. Whereas in truth, when you are an effective Maverick leader, you learn to release boundaries. And I have found that the more people release boundaries, the more freedom and energy, when they do it, they know how to do it from the right way, the more freedom and energy they have. I have a client who had a really, really traumatic and difficult relationship with one of her relatives. And yet after we went through this process of releasing boundaries, she was able to make an offer to this relative that she would never have been able to make before, and do it from a place of clarity and joy and peace, and just from a really, really good and centered place. And it was because she started to be able to apply this principle of releasing boundaries instead of setting up more boundaries. All right, and then finally, the last step in this process is to embrace conflict. We do this last. In fact, this whole third phase requires the first 2 phases to work. So if you don't know how to tap into your intuition, you're going to have a hard time to embrace conflicts. If you don't know how to adjust your rules, you're going to have a hard time releasing boundaries. So it's kind of like there's a process to this, so that you can be able to face whatever uncomfortable situations there are and state your feelings or thoughts or whatever it might be respectfully, kindly, lovingly, but in a way that is unwavering, right? That's when you're certain. When you're a certain leader, you're unwavering. So the final end product of this is that you get to absolutely certain when you go through this process. And the beauty of it is a lot of times people are concerned about, let me just stop this so you can see my face a little bit. A lot of times people are concerned that, well, hey, I've not ever finished any of my programs before, or I'm not really good with taking instructions. I know all of these things very well because I too am a disruptor. I too am a Maverick, and I've struggled with all of these things. So the way that I've designed this process in terms of walking you through these things, these different steps, is to help you in exactly the areas where we tend to struggle as disruptors, where we don't follow instructions well, where we disagree, and so we get stuck in certain places. This is designed to help you to continuously move. And everyone who have helped move through the process have, said really similar things, that there's a flow to it, there's an ease to it. It's not restrictive, it's not judgmental, it's not tight, it's not forced. It's something that's very loving and positive. So I'm trying to find a couple of those here. I'm not seeing them at this moment. They're hiding from me. But one thing I will say is that the best way to know if something is going to help you in the long term with your leadership, and as you can see from this, what I just shared with you, it's not just your business leadership, it also affects your personal leadership. The one thing that I can tell you is that you will be completely changed in your orientation, but it won't be that you turned into a carbon copy of Deborah. It'll be that you just turned into an amplified version of yourself. Because once you start listening to yourself and really tuning in and start trusting yourself at deeper levels, miracles are always happening. And I see them all the time with my clients where they get business deals. They don't know where they came from. They have offers or opportunities that months before they would never have considered. They have expansion. They're able to delegate more and spend less time worrying about the logistics of running the business and more on the big picture things, because they have people that they trust, that they allow to show their trustworthiness in running the business. So all of these things are very much a part of what I do. And I really enjoy this work. As you can tell in this community, I've shared quite a bit of it over the past 9 months or so. And I will continue to do so. We're going to move, after this, we're going to gently and slowly move into global leadership. And what does that look like? Because that's different from personal leadership, and that's different from team leadership. When you get to global leadership, there's a whole different level of ball game that you play, because that's where global villagers live. And so we'll be getting into a little bit of that. So just to let you know that this information is here, it's not going anywhere, but it's up to you to take action on it. So I know that transformation loves decisiveness. I've seen this over the years that I've been doing this work. So I'm encouraging you that between now and Monday, if you think that there's even a possibility that this might be a process that you would like to go through over the 6 months period of time, then just reach out to me. Just reach out, or just comment Maverick and right now in the comments, and I will more than happily reach out to you and we can have a conversation. And if it's something that sounds like a good fit for you, I'll let you know and we'll talk about how we can make it happen. And if it doesn't sound like it's a good fit for you, I'll try to direct you to something that sounds like it might be a better fit. Only interested in supporting you in being the leader that you know you're here to be, and in removing as many obstacles as possible to getting there, because we disruptors, we have plenty enough of obstacles. So whichever ones we can remove from being in our own way, let's do that, right? Let's make it happen. We know that the world needs us right now. The world needs us to be at our best and to show up at our greatest level and greatest form. All right, so it has been a pleasure to serve you in this challenge. Tomorrow, I'll just be announcing our winners, and then I'll be letting them pick which prize they want. And one of those prizes is a $300 scholarship for this very process that I just described to you here, the Certain Maverick Leaders Path. So that's one of the prizes. So if you haven't already done so, go back and check out Unit 1 and go through those prompts and answer the questions. And let's make the most of this challenge, shall we? All right, much love. Enjoy your weekend. Bye.